I am Mr. Brad Chester, the youngest man at 40K. And I've got with me, it's over there. No, over there. Mr. Thomas Ogden. And underneath one of these cows, we've got Stephen Crowley, who's running a little bit late because he's taking care of ninjas and pirates and more.
Yeah, he's on a work call, so we'll have him in T-minus 14 minutes and some change. So, Brad, I know it's kind of weird. We usually talk quite often, and I haven't really talked to you much since LVO. How you been?
I've been dying.
Dying.
I'm ready to talk about stuff. We're a week late because of everybody got a little bit of the con crud, but then I got a little bit more than I hoped for.
Yeah, it was really weird. A lot of flights were delayed coming back from Las Vegas. A lot of people didn't get back to their homes kind of late, and then a lot of people just weren't feeling good. So, I was just tired from the weekend.
I'm psyched though. I'm ready to talk about stuff and things. I'm super excited for the next couple tournaments. You've got one this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one. I've got Arkansas and then Cherokee, and I think we're back to backing a bunch. Then we've got Adepticon. Then we've got Canhammer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've got so many things right now.
So before we go into the LVO recap, let's just hypothetically, let's talk, not hypothetically, but let's talk about your next 2 months in tournaments. What do you got coming up?
We got to do that afterwards, my friend. Afterwards.
Well, I'm trying to buy time until we get Steven back.
We got to schedule today.
Oh, I hate schedules.
Sorry. John, the editor, said if you don't get a schedule, he will beat us mercilessly with Nerf bats until we pass out.
Ooh, so don't do the schedule?
Exactly.
No, Brian is off tonight. He is not feeling well. So Brian has been replaced by the Cow God, and Steven's replaced by the Cow God for the next 15 minutes. But fine, let's go to LVO. I mean, give us a rundown. How did you enjoy LVO, brother?
I did. I always enjoy LVO. It was it's fun to have tons of people around doing stuff and things. I had a lot of people reach out to me and ask how I was doing after things had happened. So that was really nice to get a lot of support. And I played Tau, which I heard people are super excited about. Everybody loves Tau. It's one of the most loved armies in 40K.
Absolutely. I love Tau.
So Orton here's a who, and he's going to the children's books. I like what's going on here.
Yeah, it was actually LVO for me. Had a blast. I don't know why. I couldn't get in the mood for LVO. Even you were telling me about how it felt weird that I just wasn't pumped up for it. But the best part of LVO was like, and I think this was another reason why I just wasn't really in the tournament, is we kept meeting a lot of people from the Meta crew, from our Patreons, meeting people that Tom just watches the show, and just that was the best part for me, sitting between our rounds and having people come up and just talk to us, hanging out with us. So that was really cool to see a lot of you guys.
One of the biggest things of the tournament was, I think, for the future for me, to be honest. I was more excited about things moving on than anything else, because we had talked to Mike, Jersey Mike, about the terrain and things of that nature, and I've seen a couple of videos, and you pointed out a couple of videos that really gave him a lot of shit. The LVO staff as a whole. But while there was some misses for some rows, I think that there was more wins, you know what I mean? And especially what they're planning to do in the future. So I guess I was looking more at what we're going to have than what we did have.
I think it's a theme for a lot of us at LVO. Like, the more closer we got to LVO, the more we didn't want to play like the old meta. It just, when you're playing that same meta for almost a year, and I know we had a break at a different chapter approved in between here, but it was almost like the same type of meta, except a little bit less CP. But there's like such a drastic change coming up with the new meta that, especially with Marines being prevalent again, a lot of us just wanted to play the new meta. So, but
I want the next episode to be the 7 cows in a night moving each other for an hour and a half. You know what? Bonus episode, putting that out. But
And we're adding a half hour to it apparently, so that's pretty good.
yeah, they were really scathing, KR. It's just we saw a bunch of them, but I think they went a little too far. But I get where they're coming from though, because a lot of those guys that are putting those out are all European players that traveled a long way. So if they had the luck of playing on some of the shittier tables, you know what I mean, then you just flew, across the pond to have a game decided sometimes by that.
Well, I think the biggest thing and I listened to 40K Fireside. That's got Vic Vijay and David Gaylord. You think that this is an expensive tournament to come from? They travel across the pond, and they prep for it. They wanted to have a UK ITC winner, and I guess I listened to their podcast. Someone linked it to me, and it was pretty good to listen to. And a lot of their points I think is valid. Like they're talking about how like half the tables they played on weren't even in the players packet, and it wasn't consistent like it was in the players packet. Vic was talking about his first two games were because he played in the top 400 tables basically because it's all random the first day, and his first two games he had no ruins with no line sight blocking at all. They all had holes and windows in them, and so ones with the big bases as well. So he's like, I couldn't even get near my wall and not be protected. Like I was playing Votan one of the games. He's like, if I went second, I just lost.
I played Innis on that. Innis challenge. We just had a table that had no line of sight blocking, window, that first floor blocking windows. So I obviously had a huge advantage there on that particular one.
So when you have what's supposed to be the premier tournament, and I'm not trashing FLG in any way, shape, or form. And I get that they like oversold tickets and they expected some kind of attrition that just didn't happen this year. Almost everyone showed up to bought tickets, which never ever happens. So they ran out of terrain, but it's kind of rough when you have people that are competitive players and they're going for like the top standings in ITC and then there was like 10 or 15 tables that were GW terrain and the convention hall like kind of far away. One of our own guys talked about how not only did they take a while to find their table because there's like no signs to it, but when they got there, it was like completely different terrain and that no one had practiced for. So I mean, these guys, I don't want to trash too much on FLG. It takes a lot to run an event that big. I mean, we run an event with 250 people at MCM, and that takes I don't want to think about how much work it takes to run a 1,000-man tournament. But is there room for improvement? Absolutely. Do these guys that are upset have reason to be upset? Yeah, but I don't know if I'd take it as far as saying I'd never go back again. I mean, in the end, only one person wins the event, so. I know they had high hopes, but just how the cookie crumbles,
The terrain on the live stream was a little bit different in thing. I just found out that I was apparently a relatively unknown player. Man, I didn't even know that. I got demoted. Man, oh, yeah? This is hurtful. Here goes
unknown player.
David Gaylord apparently said it has played a relatively unknown top player. I'm just up and coming. I'm an up and coming guy. Hopefully I'll do well this season. Really get my name out there.
Wow. Okay. I think you're probably like the most known 40K player, period, because you've been playing since the dawn of time.
So, but the terrain, I'm hopeful for the terrain in the future. That's one of my biggest things of this. I talked to Mike a bit. We messaged back and forth, and I feel like especially I don't know about the rest of the guys. I just know about Mike. I've talked to Mike about this, and we were talking about it, and I think he's recognized the tables that are bad. You know what I mean? And he literally went, I already have been trashing these old tables. So I'm looking forward to the new. I get if you travel a long way and you had some bad table experiences, because you could just have luck and play on all the good tables. You know what I mean? But you could also have bad luck and play on a ton of shit tables. And that's a big deal when you've traveled a long way and spent a lot of money.
I got lucky and I got only good tables. So
you also...
Which is unlucky for me, actually, because I play Town and I want them to have no line of sight blocking now that I think about it. But
just play Smash. I mean...
I would love to be on a table and someone's like, yeah, I've got no line of sight blocking. I'm like, ooh. I mean, you're a cool dude, because if you're a cool dude, we can make some line of sight blocking. But if you're an asshole, that's going to be a shooting gallery right here, bud. I hate to tell you that.
I do enjoy having I think I had the #1 strength of schedule, so I was pretty psyched about that.
Your first 6 games were insane. I
Seven,
think you had
eight.
one.
I played 8 games.
But yeah, but you played against, but I think your first six, I think you only had one non-ranked player, and then the other five were like ranked players.
This is a good question on this. Because goes, define good because they complained that the sister stables were too heavy, and I can understand that because I would have rather had a medium level in the tables because we had a lot of real dichotomy tables where some were super wide open, where you didn't have anything where first floor blocking, or you had some awkward tables like the industrial tables with those like little boxes and stuff were very, very difficult. Did you have to play the Mastodon, Brad? No, I did not, Lyle. But
Quinn, the thing is, and this is where I think they have a slight argument, and I don't trash them for it in any way, shape, or form, and I can kind of see their pain, is that the tables and the sisters were not in the players packet, and these guys have built specific. I mean, these guys take this game to a different level than some of us American players. I know some of us like Art of War and them do the same thing, and I'm not trashing at all, but these guys build specific armies for specific terrain types, and they went through the player packet. They did a ton of practicing on the things, the different terrains, and then they get there, and there's like 3 different tables that were not in the packet whatsoever, and did not have uniformed rules. And then and besides those 3, you also have the GW train, which is completely different style meta.
well, that was a little Hail Mary. They just didn't have enough terrain, period. They just had to set up some GW terrain.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to trash FLG in any shape or form. Like I said earlier, it's an insane amount of work to run a 1,000-man event. So I see both sides. I see why FLG did what they did. I think whoever created their packet should have probably included the other terrain for those players. But at the same time, I'm not feeling too sad for them because they were running 1,000 Suns with Flamer spam. So,
Well, with the
Sorry,
recap
guys.
on that, how did you feel about that? We only had one even go into the shadow realm. Do you think here's the question on that? Was it, and there's a couple things that it could have been, or maybe a combination of both. I'll ask your opinion on this one, Tom. Did you think that army, 1, was overrated, 2, the terrain and matchups made it so, or was it 3 that people played into it so much they were just ready for that army?
I think a lot of people understood how to play against that army, even though it puts you at a slightly disadvantage if you understand the army quite well. But also, for somehow at this event, there was a lot of demon on demon / 1,000 Suns on 1,000 Suns. It was just weird how it worked out. They kind of knocked each other out. And the best part, I think there was a round we were watching, and someone's like, "Yeah, there's like half of the 1,000 Sun players are playing each other right now." And everyone, there's like a lot at the table, and we're like, "Oh, sucks to be them. Good for us."
I was not bummed that I didn't play that. I was bummed that the road that I had to roll through, but I was not bummed that I didn't have to play 1,000 Suns flavors.
I don't mind when people want to switch codexes and chase the meta, but it's also, I don't like it when people try to play a specific list because it's so hyper efficient. And I know that's like, hey, that's kind of hypocritical if you're saying it's kind of okay to chase the meta, but it's just weird to me when they are chasing the specific thing because it's so overly efficient and obviously oversight of what it should have been. Like the algorithm used for that unit is just bonkers crazy, and they just spam the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like go ahead.
No, it's just I was just thinking about that specific thing on that. And I'm looking at some of the comments here of FLG has a terrain company now. It's like KFC running out of chicken. And I do think that KR is right too. I think that the Sisters terrain was a reveal for him. I like the Sisters terrain. I think that it should have, one of those buildings should have windows. I like the idea of one being completely blocked, and then you've got basically middle terrain, where there's parts of it that are blocked, maybe one side's blocked and the other side's not, kind of thing. But having 2 13, 14 inch long pieces that had no windows was kind of a bitch to play. And I'm definitely was a little bit on the other side of that since I was playing Tau in the event. You know what I mean? So if I was playing all assault, I'd be like, this is awesome.
Yeah. See, the thing is, and to hit 2 of those comments, for one, FLG is a terrain company now. Running out, and I don't want to trash FLG because they're trying to do a lot of things. And as much as we want to be upset with some of their events, they are the reason why ITC, the ITC is the reason why competitive 40 stayed for a long time. So I don't know, man. I don't want to get too hard on them. But them not having terrain just seems weird to me when they have a shit ton of terrain and they could just literally print it easily. Secondly, the train set, it might have been a big reveal for them, Quinn, but it literally broke a lot of rules and how they were trying to play train at that event, and it didn't match anything else that was in the packet whatsoever. If I spent like $3,000 to travel to LVO from across the pond, and I put a lot of effort into making a list and trying to play exactly to that style, and I really cared about my ITC ranking because maybe these guys are starting up a business to where like winning ITC was a huge deal, and I could see why they're upset. And I don't mean to like try to play both sides. I don't want us to just dump on one side. I think it was a lose-lose situation in my opinion.
Well, what do you think about the fact that they effectively play on one terrain set, the UKTC set that doesn't get played anywhere else, or they play on a version of the WTC, which is going to be completely different than most anything that you see in America?
Well, the thing is, and here's the one bad thing I'll say about them, and kind of hitting on Bobby N's thing right here, like he's disappointing European players from up to the outrage machine. That happens every single year they travel to our tournaments. They want to trash that our meta's soft, blah blah blah. I have not seen a European player come to one of our events besides the GW event that Manny won, but I have not seen them come to any of like the FLG events and actually win. At ACO, there's a lot of, because it's right by the East Coast, there's a lot of international players. FLG, every year they come with these hype machines. Remember when Manny brought the Imperial Fist RD to hell list, and he pretty much guaranteed everyone he's going to win the event, and he gets knocked out. Like, we have solid players. Unfortunately, we don't always turn out the best in Team America, and that's not because we don't have great players that can compete with them. I think some of the players, even last year's team that took over, had some of the best players in the world, but we're very egotistical as players, as Americans, and we don't always play well as a team, and that's the issue I think we have with us. Like, we're all separate on different teams across this massive country. You can fit the European countries. Most of their countries are the size as one state, unless you get a couple big ones. But we have more people in the state of Michigan that lives in all of England. And
I do think that it's a big deal that they play on something different, though. I go back to that.
oh yeah,
It's the same thing when we travel. If you travel to a different set and you haven't played a ton of games on it, it is a different game. You know what I mean? The game's going to be different depending on the terrain that you play, the terrain set that you play on. It's the same thing we were talking about, or we both talked about, where we want a universal FAQ. You know what I mean? To be played, because it becomes different where you go. And it's the same thing with the terrain on that. You know what I mean?
I agree. And I think that's the second thing is like they play to a very specific level. All their events are pretty much unified, and the UKTC events are starting to their terrain and rules are starting to spread to more than just the UK now. Like, a lot of other countries are adapting that, that unified systematic, and it's just like real life. Over there they all use metric. Over here we use inches. Like, we use the imperial system. We're always going to be different because 1776. That's why we choose to be be but I mean, that was a joke, but I don't know.
No,
I think,
but I want to go to what Bobby was talking about on that. And the thing is that I do think that people had some gripes and whatnot, but I think part of that's overinflated just because people want people to view. You know what I mean? So saying something inflammatory raises up the juice on views.
what is Disflux saying? What time they starting their Monday stream? I'm confused on that. Oh, he's talking about ours. Okay, I thought he was talking about someone else.
No, it's ours.
7 p.m. 7 p.m. every day is when
Eastern Standard Time.
The thing is like, I don't get when people, if they lose an event or whatever, they get upset. Like, I lost round 6 at LVO. It was the first time I've made top 8 in 2 years, Brad. Any tournament I've gone to, and I got nothing bad to say about it. Played a great opponent. We had an amazingly good sportsmanship game. At one point, the dude rolled like 22 out of 24 4-ups to save one boat, and I was like, "Good job!" I cheered him on, and that was kind of cool. He rolled hot. That's how it goes sometimes. And because of that, we became friends. He had me on Facebook, and we've talked a couple times since then. Hopefully, I see him at Canhammer soon, and kind of cool. I think I'll see him this upcoming weekend actually, because I'm going to a Canadian event. So It is what it is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I don't see why people get upset.
We are waiting for Nurgle Matt to publish the official schedule of cool streams. Yeah, I need it to be in pamphlet form though, not just online.
I like Nurgle Matt so much that I wish he would just send us a logo and we're just gonna put him as one of the sponsors of the show, just because I like when he's here and he talks. Nurgle Matt, not to mention every like 20 minutes he was coming by me at LVO and let me hit off his vape. So we were vibing quite well at LVO.
You know what? I might jump into this. Should we bounce? We did some tournament. We got a little sidetracked in our tournament recap, and it's been recapped. Rio does not count. As should I get Britt in here to tell her what she thinks about the Rio?
I think the best comment all weekend is this place is so sad. Even the trees are dying.
Brittany was not a fan of the Rio. Not even just the Rio. Not being on the strip was a big deal.
Yeah,
that's huge. It made it very awkward. I know that the price difference is huge, and we've said this before, but like, man, it's a big difference. You know what I mean? That was the funniest thing is after I lost my game in the top 8, and I'm like, I'm sad, but I'm not that sad because I'd like to go do some stuff now. And so
it makes a big difference at LVO because like when you're done with a game or something like that, you're able to like just walk around the strip, and it's a fun time the entire time. Where if you're out there drinking stuff, it gets weird trying to find Ubers and stuff back, and I don't know. I just like being able to walk back to
it
my
was just
room.
having more people though. You could just go and get off the strip, and if you wanted something, there's a drugstore right there, and there's other things, and you can just wander about and do something and be outside. Still, I think my favorite wasn't just the trees are dying. We're sitting outside, and it's the last evening on Sunday, and she looks out over the Vegas Strip and goes, "Look at that! So beautiful, so full of life." And here is death and decay. This is where you come to die. And I was like, ouch.
It was kind of cool. We both had got a game done early on day 2, and we just left. We both got done in the first hour, and we're like, dude, we got 3 hours to the next round. We took an Uber back to the strip and just walk into that one little mini mart area where it has like all the little restaurants and the tiki bars and stuff. I was like, man.
But that's where it used to be. That was right outside Bally's where it used to be.
Yeah, I was like, I just miss the spot. I used to come here all the time. But anyways, enough talk about death and decay and LVO.
Let's talk about life.
We'll end that segment as was it a fun tournament? Absolutely. It's always great to see so many of your friends. I wish they would go back to Bally's, but you know what? FLG, it's a business, and they have to make the best decisions for them and us. And whether or not people from across the pond don't want to complain about it, it wasn't a bad event. It was a good event. So we're moving on.
I'm looking forward to the Fargo, North Dakota championships. Yes, there was more stuff. You know what? I'm going to go on. I'm going to go to Chris' question. World Eaters, yay, nay?
World Eaters are insane. Fucking insane. I love World Eaters. If they weren't Chaos Space Marines, I'd be running them.
And I'll do both. I'll do Kyle and Chris on that because I think that there's 2 armies that are going to get play. I think the World Eaters are going to get a ton of play in this meta. I think that Dark Eldar are going to make a huge comeback because without Armor Contempt, they're doing significant more damage. They have a shit ton of AP 1 and 2 out there. So that's a big deal on that. I think you're going to see more army. I think you're really going to see a lot more armies in the meta be more viable. You got all the Marine armies coming back. I think you're going to have things like Dark Eldar come back, especially because Dark Eldar is very, very good at killing Marines, especially not without Armor and Contempt. So I think they're going to jump back into the meta. I think you're going to see AdMag sneaking in there. GSC's already been making a huge push already on there. And I think that World Eaters can really catch people off guard because that army moves deceptively fast and hits crazy hard, especially with volume of attacks.
So, to get a couple questions real quick though, Brad, I want to ask you, how do you feel about all these new eternal point systems and codexes, such as blood ties and World Eaters, honor points and Imperial Knights, Cabal points and Thousand Suns, yada yada?
I like more complexity, but that's it, completely my opinion on that. I also spend my day doing 40K stuff, so I'm really up to date on everything. So I like that kind of stuff because I like things that make me just not be bored, get into a rut. You know what I mean? So I like little systems like that.
I like it. I think it brings uniqueness to the codexes. I just wish more people would have their rule books on them when you want to read it, because when I see it for the first time, I want to read it, or have like little tokens or markers, because it can be confusing sometimes.
Yeah. We got Steven in here?
Yeah.
Do we have a camera on you?
Oh, yes. Let me fix that.
Oh, Stephen Crowley coming back in the channel. This is like StarCraft 2 or StarCraft 1 days when someone would join a custom game and you'd be like, blah, blah, has entered the game.
Ooh.
Related to your answer there, though, I would say that I think that Blood are much better than Cabal points, because Cabal points are very difficult to track on a macro level for the player, whereas Blood Tithe points are very easy to track for the macro player. So.
Why did your audio go from good to... And I still don't have a picture from him. This kid, we can't take him fucking anywhere.
No, I agree with him on that. I like it though. Some people can do it really well. Like Thousand Songs is a very complex.
What's happening? Carly's just fighting someone right now. Someone call 911 because he's currently being home invaded. Clearly.
Or he's eating his mic. It's one of the two.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There we go.
So
I think he swallowed his mic. He's like, you know what? I know how to make these guys hear me better. I'll just put the mic inside
me. It's embedded.
While we're waiting for Carl to get that fixed, everyone, for our things we have to do, if you guys could like the post and subscribe if you haven't, that would help us out a lot. We'd appreciate you guys. I mean, you got me and Brad on the stream. It can't be that professional. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Tech Master.
To answer Lyle's question about the Death or Glory Invitational, for those who don't watch, we run an invitational. It's just for our teams and very close friends of the teams. So it's pretty much a very inclusive event, but it's very friendly, but cut at the same time. Like, people bring a lot of great armies, and it's a very relaxed competitive tournament. But now that the jersey orders have gone out, Lyle, and there's a lot of work with all our new logos that we unveiled for this season, I will be putting out the date for the invitational soon.
I agree on the thing is that some of these real aggressive, crazy Unga Bunga style armies are competitive, but they're really fun to play, to be perfectly honest.
Now I'm pretty sure Steven has gone into a mall.
A subway. He's in the subway. He's riding here. He's riding to his camera right now.
Is that bad audio issues? Okay.
It's like, look, man, you guys don't mind, but I'm in the middle of a concert right now. I still wanted to be involved.
Okay, so there will not be an option of camera and audio this week. I'll fix it for next week.
Okay.
People preferred the cow anyways, man. Let's be honest.
I'll just live by the cow, man. That's the way that it goes. But no, I think the reason that I prefer the other systems is because for like the purpose of Cabal points and stuff, there's a strategic element when you're playing into those armies. And it's a lot easier to understand with Blood Ties. I kill X, and X will happen. Whereas with Cabal points, I have to kill the units of rubrics because I get one for killing the one with the flame above its head, and one for killing the sergeant itself, and then only one for killing this sergeant. It makes it very difficult to play into that at a high level quickly.
The only thing I don't like about when they get very complex with Thousand Suns, it's very easy to cheat it. And,
not even just cheat it. I think that it's hard for people that aren't masters of the army. They accidentally do it. I mean,
also, I agree with Disflux where he says big love for Lord Otto Includus. That dude is absolutely insane. Brad, have you seen where you can run him and two squads of world leaders, the 8, and you get like a 22-inch movement turn 1, including pregame movements?
Oh, dude, he's buck wild. That is I don't even know if there's ever been a more go first year army than that army. That army is so. I hope I win this roll because I'm going that way.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Do you think in that warlord trait, not having the 9-inch stay away from opponents' deployment zone / models is an oversight? Or do you think they did it intentionally?
I don't know anymore, man. The problem is that we don't have. Hold on, let me beat this dead horse real quick. We need universal special rules, man. If you can make a pregame move and stuff like that, we have to stop having different wording for every fucking single thing that comes out, every new book, every new White Dwarf, whatever. Because no one knows what the right rule is, man. It's just super annoying.
But is there any single deployment in which an 11-inch pregame move puts you within 9 inches of the opposing deployment zone?
But no, it also ignores opponent models.
Models, yeah.
So normally you can block things like that by having 4 deployment units, or also having a pregame move yourself and hoping that you roll off to go before them and you pregame move and you move to block them. Like I do that a lot with my Kroot when I was playing Kroot with Tau. If I went second, I was hoping at least win a roll to get first pregame move, and then I just sacrifice my Kroot squad by moving as far up as I can, and now you have to stay 9 inches from them. That cuts off inches in your movement, actually. A lot of times people won't pay the CP to do the pregame move or whatever because they're like, well, I'm only going to get an extra 3 inches. It's not worth it. So you try to deter them from doing that.
Right. It's the thing is it's a risk reward type thing on that too, because you're definitely going to lose whatever you screen with. And that goes with Lyle's question on that, which is the world leaders just win 100% of games on table cores when they go first. They probably won't just auto win stuff, but they're going to be very skewy because you're going to have physical screens and you're going to lose some shit every game.
I mean, there's a Borkin list that I unveiled to our patrons because they were asking to make one, and it literally has 3 squads of stealth suits for that reason. They're 225 points of I'm going to put them in the open or up front, and it's just there to block pregame moves. And then World just comes like, yeah, fuck that. Don't give a shit about that. I'm gonna move right past you.
They have so many high AP attacks. That army is very nasty to get hit by. But I think that certain armies are gonna have a hard time. But I think that elite armies versus world eaters are going to have a horrible day because they don't have the trash to put in front of them. But they're not that durable. So I feel like you can make them hit something, you can just pick up the rest of their army. You know what I mean? So I think it's gonna have I think its win percentage will be fine, but I think like its per faction win percentage is going to be just all over the place. It's going to have these games where it plays into an elite and it just crushes because it went first. And it's going to have games where people had lots of screens and they're going to have a shit game and get smashed. So I think it's going to be kind of all over the place with that.
Yeah, thank you, Lyles. It's not Fish of Furies. It's Furious Fishies. Thank you.
Furious Fishies.
That's what we call the new Farsight Breacher Rush list.
Yeah, most of the pregame moves get stopped by models and say they have to stop 9 inches away from enemy units. Only a couple things don't have that. And I don't know if they're mistakes or if they meant to do that just to fuck with people. I don't even know why anymore.
Do you feel like the Demon Codex and the World Eater Codex are what we should expect from 10th edition at this point?
Yeah.
You have to, a little bit. Yeah, you have to say that this Ark of Covenant plus what the last couple books has to be at least what we're planning on. You know what I mean? Well, either that or you're going to be real sad because you got your book for like 2 months.
Well, I mean, the difficult part is like if you look at Guard and you look at World Eaters, right? They're so different. It's like Votan was to Demons. We thought that Demons were the showing of the future. And then the Guard Codex came out, and it's like, nope, that's not how we're going to go. And then now we're back to the same thing that Demons have with World Eaters.
I think Guards... Go ahead.
I think that's by design, though. I think they're trying to make these codexes more unique to each other and not have cookie-cutter copies, because in the past, and I forget where I saw it, but I saw a GW of an article once, like about a year ago, where they didn't like how in previous metas, most codexes were pretty similar. Just better pointed and more special weapons access. But what I can give GW credit for, and it seems weird giving GW credit for anything lately, is that they are trying to make these codexes pretty unique and a better fashion than they've done in the past. So I kind of like it.
I agree with Matt on this. The guard book does feel like it was written a while ago and they were waiting for models and stuff. But I do think guard right now might be a little OP, played by the right people, but it does have a very dynamic army. It does a lot of shit. You know what I mean? So
See, I don't know about that. If they wrote this even a year ago, it wouldn't have made sense because they gave the an order that allowed you to ignore the nerf to indirect, which didn't exist up this a year ago. The way you can stack orders and explode it was kind of new. Having a banner that you ignore like wound caps. A year ago, wound cap wasn't prevalent enough to make it really worth it. I think like
yeah,
yeah,
it's just the way it feels because they're taking away so many options for other books, and this one has a ton. So
I don't. They have a lot of interactions with a lot of newer rules, which I like about them. The only thing I don't like in all the new codexes right now is I don't like modifiable saves on army wide, which is the demon saves. Like nothing that interacts with invulns doesn't interact with them, and it just like having units with a 3+ always just it's like giving a 3+ invuln basically, but yeah, it's better than invuln because you can't hurt it with things that either one modify invulns or ignore them. So that's one thing I don't like so far in all the new books.
Hey man, if you're having problems with demon saves, remember there's one of the assassins that has rule that the damage cannot be saved unless it's an invulnerable save. So you can just kill demons wholesale with the
yeah,
assassin.
except for he's got a shot.
Yeah.
He kills a guy. That is true. The demon save does make high quality low attack matchups terrible because you're just going to make those. I really think though that when we're looking to the future of the meta, your army has to have volume in it. It's just period. It's a big deal on that. If you show up right now and you bring only multi-meltas, well, you're going to have a bum time because you're going to show up on demons. You're going to show up with GSC. I mean, just any of these MSU armies. I mean, how Dark Eldar making a comeback, any of the Eldar, just playing really MSU style. You have to have an army that has both volume and some hard target removal. It just, you can't go, I really don't think you can just skew in any one thing as far as how your attacks go.
And I really don't think there's an all-comers list anymore. Like, it just doesn't exist.
Well, I feel like we're getting back to the point where we're getting close to the Dark Eldar meta style of you can't play elite strong armies like that anymore. You have to play MSU style to be competitive. There's no one size fits all elite army that will do well, maybe outside of guard.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about this, Brad and Steven, we'll start with you guys. What do you think, now that LVO's gone, we're into the new meta, things are coming out, including the World Leaders release. What do you think is going to be the new meta? Like, what do you think is the top? Give me your top 5 armies.
Cool. Top 5?
Want the cop-out answer?
Yes.
The cop-out
Don't
answer
rush
is...
it, guys. Don't rush the answer. Don't hurry up now.
The cop-out answer is it's going to depend on where you're traveling to, because I feel like that answer is very different for GW style than it is for FLG style, for instance.
Or UKTC and stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah. Because right now, I think that melee is, especially with the new layout 3, melee is going to be a lot more effective on GW style, and you're going to see a lot of success out of World Eaters armies because they can stage very easily to be able to go through, and a lot of the objectives are exposed. Whereas in more of an FLG style, especially with the tables being so varied as they are, it's going to be much more towards your shooting MSU styles, especially like your Eldar and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so give me fine. Let's change the question a little bit. Give me your top 3, and then one dark horse for both GW and FLG.
Tau, Yanari, and I want to say Drukari, to be honest.
That's interesting. For which format?
Well, I was going across all comers. If I had to play across both and I had to commit to something for the next 6 months, it would be one of those 3. If it's just specifically for GW style, it's going to be, I think Worldies are going to be very effective on there because the amount of cover plus the ability to stage and the distance between the buildings is low enough. I think Tau still have a really strong game with their ability to come back behind the cover, and I would actually put guard being there. I think on FLG style, guard is going to suffer significantly with the way player place works and the way that their scoring works, and the way the armies have to function and how aggressively you have to get with the tanks. So I would more see, probably that's where you're going to see your Dark Eldar having a lot more success. I know people are mad. I'm not picking Marines because I don't think Marines are that good right now. I think they're too glass hammery.
I just put a poll up because I found out how to make one.
Polls go burr. I want to see the results of the polls.
All right, Brad, you're up, brother. What is your top 3 for the formats?
I still think guard played by someone that knows guard inside and out has just a crazy ability to win. They've got great damage, they've got the volume, and they've got good secondaries, and they actually make a dual problem for people because they bring somewhere between 60 to 80 bodies plus all those tanks and everything else that comes with it. So I think that they actually make it difficult. For guard says, do you have all of the things? Did you not skew your army one way, in a big way? I actually think the orcs are up there, to be honest. Rick has just put up there in that. There's a lot of armies that got a huge boost. I think orcs and Dark Eldar are the most raised up armies with all the new things that are out there. So I don't know if they're going to be in the top, but I do think that they became the ones that got raised the most. Orcs were already playing around, doing pretty decent. I played orcs in North Carolina. I've played around with them a little bit, and I think they're going to do really, really well. For me, where the elves land, any of the elves, to be honest, basically any of the T3 armies, is going to be how oppressive guard is, and if they are at all or not, because they have a really tough game into all that indirect. So I'll see whether they're top tier or not. I think you're going to see, I don't know if they're going to come out on top, but if you're going to a tournament in the next 6 months and you don't have Marine counters and you can't play into Marines, you're making a mistake. I'm not saying they're the number one army, but what I am saying is they're the most populous army. They were already played a ton, even when they weren't doing that well. I mean, everything except for BA, but with them being all over the place now, you have to be able to kill Marines. And the armies that kill Marines are going to do really, really well because you're going to play the majority of your games in tournaments versus them. And the thing is, you know what, Kara? I would actually put that in the trifecta. The armies that got buffed the most are Custodes, Orcs, Dark Eldar.
I'm going to go on the record, and I think the top 3 armies for me for both things. Because I think all 3 of these armies play well on all 3. I think Orcs are going to be very good. I think Eldar is going to be pretty good. And I think Guard is going to be dominant. I think Marines and Tau are on the outside of that top 3, but I think they're also going to be pretty well. The problem I have with Tau right now is armies like World Leaders exist. And if they go first, you have such little things now because we've been nerfed 4 times and we constantly give more and more of our jank to the point where you can't even take jank anymore. Like, I remember when they first showed the ARC's detachment, we were like, thank God we don't take Root anymore because we were so point synced on everything else that it was the thing we were willing to give up. But I think Guard's going to be very oppressive. I think Eldar is going to have a great trade game, and I'm talking about all 3 variants. I think Daenerys is going to be good. I think Eldar is going to be good. I think Harlequins are still going to be good. Danny Olivis is, a top Harlequin player. I was talking about LVO, one of my buddies, great sport. And the list he's talking about where he's not even running any vehicles, it's just all bodies, it's hilarious. And you talk about his strategies, like, I'm just going to flood the primaries and just take them from you every turn.
Well, you can take 1,000,000 troops. Troop players.
It was like 120 bodies. He's like, that's strong as you. I'm just gonna flood the board, and just now you have primary. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna kill me, but you're gonna get to 0 on primary every single turn. That's a good strategy.
Brad, I have a counterpoint with the Marine thing.
Hit me.
So I agree with you that Marines are going to be probably the most played army, and I think that if you are going into a 9-round event, you should expect to play Marines for 4 to 5 rounds. There's no contest in there. What problem in the meta that you have to solve doesn't automatically deal with Marines. Like the proliferation of damage 3 weapons just being everywhere. You have to think about a Custodes matchup, and anything that kills Custodes kills Marines wholesale. Their
Can I
tanks
say
are.
something, Brad?
Say again?
I want to say something for you before you talk. I'm gonna tell you right now why I think Marines are gonna be top 3.
Okay.
More detailed. 1, best player in the world is gonna be playing Marines.
Aw, Brad.
That's right. Calling you right now the best player, Brad at LVO. Before we get any further,
Bros, I'm an up and
shit.
coming. I'm not a really known player. Remember, we already stated that.
I've given Brad shit for last year, and I've rubbed it into his face that I was playing better than him. And the Brad I saw at LVO was the first time I've seen like that fiery focus. Brad looked super good at LVO. Very impressed.
I was a ninja.
So, yeah, Brad plays that way with Marines. Marines are gonna start winning some events. And 2, just the point levels in Marines compared to Custodes is such a drastic. You're bringing a lot more, and when you're playing the reserves for free game, and you're bringing off eradicators and attack bikes out of reserves and different angles, and having the speed and just being able to trade. You can't trade with Custodes; they're too expensive. But having an army you can trade with and do all those jank shenanigans with, and still have as efficient shooting as Custodes, is a scary combo when you put it in the hands of somebody like Brad.
I look forward to eating crow.
You will.
I get what you're saying though, but I think that it's more of when you design. We talked about that with list design. We're actually talking about that in one of the last masterclass, which is when you're designing a list, you have to be able to damage check people, or when they damage check you have to be able to have that answer. And Marines are one of the things you're going to have the answer to. And yes, in building for that damage check, you might already have accidentally put your counter into Marines, but it's just one of those things that you have to check off your list.
I don't know. We've been talking about Marines for a little bit, and I think Space Wolves is something that no one's really preparing for. And Space Wolves bring a lot of shooting and close combat shenanigans that I think you put in the right player's hands are going to be super scary. And even the Salamanders list that Brad was talking about running it's surprisingly a lot of firepower and has the ability to trade extremely well. So I think those 2 armies are a lot to look forward to. I think even running something like Black Templars with invulns on a whole bunch of vehicles with extra multi-melts is pretty crazy. So there's a lot of good Marine builds out there that can bring durability to the table or the trade, and it does it at a very efficient point cost.
I had to do a howl for the Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of stuff out there, and I think there's going to be some whack, crazy matchups. And another thing is that you're going to have to start bringing some physical screen. That's my prediction, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we've got some seriously aggressive lists that are going to be out there. World Eaters, up there. But you've also got a lot of things. I think you're going to see Grey Knights coming out again. They've got some great counters. They play super well into non-armor contempt armies. And they have volume. I mean, they have 20 shots per 5 guys with trash shots. You know what I mean? If you're GSC, you're not looking to see that. And if you're any of the pointy ears, you don't want to see that. That's a big thing. So I think you're going to see them coming back out there. I don't know if they're going to be the end-all be-all, but that's just an army that is real playable right now. And I don't know, is there anybody that's not playable? We've said that we've got all this parity right now. Is there any army you think that's still in the shitter? It's just that you wouldn't take to a tournament?
GSC.
GSC's so good right now, dude.
Until not in the guard meta. You put GSC, and the guard's about to be very, very popular. You put GSC across from my guard list, and it's I'm just going to look yo, do you actually want to play this game, or do you want to go get lunch together? Because I'm just going to mortar the shit out of you.
There's actually a really good conversation to be had about regular Knights, because so many of their largest pitfalls have been taken care of. And in addition to that, they have good secondary play. And I think that's going to be a sleeper.
I didn't hear you say it, brother.
I want to agree with Matt. Rest in peace, Death Guard. I would play GSC before I played Death Guard right now.
I didn't hear what you said on that one, Crowley.
Regular Knights, just normal Imperial Knights.
It's weird for me on that because of the fact that I think Knights won't win the tournament, but I think Knights are still they're kind of where they were before, though. They're Knights won't probably win a 5+ game tournament, but they can make you real sad. Because depending on mission and everything else, you know what I mean? You run up 10 trans-hitman Knights, and then you've got like an Aaron in the back giving an advance in charge and giving out some buffs. So, you know, you're getting that 4+ and -1 damage on people. And you got the ability to use calculated targeting on that for mortals. They can take out anything. They probably won't go through the tournament undefeated, but that's still a crazy gatekeeper army at that point in time. I'm always terrified when I play Knights because I think that I have the keys to win that game. But like, man, when you're shooting at stuff that's, you know, with invulns with high toughness and the ability to hit back pretty hard, whew.
Trip Surges, wow, easy. Trip Surges wins a GT first.
Also, I need to address Lyle. Triple Astraeus or double Astraeus is MSU. I have multiple small Astraeus units.
Who wins a major first? I'm for sure. I'm winning the next major I'm playing in. I already called my mom and told her I won. I mean, I am an up and coming player. I mean, not many people know about me.
What GT are you playing in next, Brad? Major.
Cherokee's a major, is it not?
Oh, it's a major. Yeah, it's sold out.
It's a major.
I'll be there. And then
You gonna win it for us?
yeah, like I said, I already called my mom, told her I won Cherokee. I said I'm excited because the English guys will eventually validate me as a player, and they'll tell me on the next podcast that I'm a young guy, up and coming.
I didn't hear him talk about you that way. That's kind of funny.
Since you've already won Cherokee, does that mean that you're playing guard or Sally?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm playing Sally's on the 17th, 18th, whatever the hell the next tournament. I'll go to Blake's Arkansas tournament. I'm playing Sally's there, but like I'm really up in the air about that, whether Sally's, Dark Angels, or Iron Hands play the same game that I want to play better. Each of them has slightly different factions. The armies look very, very similar. You know what I mean? Because I keep making armies with lots of bikes, lots of speeders, and things of that nature, and they all have different things that they do well. That's why I think you're going to see a lot up on there. There's lots of variations, and you're like, which one's better? You're like, I don't know. They're all good. Nice. I'll shake your hand in the finals of Cherokee. Very nice.
Yo, if Brad wins Cherokee Open, he's going to give everyone a ham sandwich. I'm calling it right now. Everyone who's on right now, all 45 of you gets a ham sandwich from Brad Chester.
No, I have to tell it to Andy too. That's the other thing, Andy. I don't know if I want to play the Wolves either. I've got a list that plays into those 3 factions I just said, and then I've got a separate one that I've been playing with Wolves. That's completely different.
I think the Wolves list is the best Marine list there is right now.
Really?
I love the Wolves. If I had
It's got a lot of options, dude.
Army,
I hear.
I would play it in a heartbeat. I would play it over. If I had a wolf army sitting on the shelf, and I used to, and I gave it away, which I'm kind of pissed off about. I would not even try to finish my guard. I would just play wolves. I just don't feel like buying it all again. I love wolves so much.
Even with knowing now Wolfen don't have advance in charge?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the thing is with the wolves, you have, I think you have a huge high ceiling, but you do have a low floor because shit can go wrong with that. Because there's a lot of interactive stuff and charges and setups and everything. Because you're putting a lot of stuff in Deep Strike. Yeah, the greater good is sadly I stayed for such a short time. I mean, I had a whole tournament with them. I had to make, that was part of the 22 season. I had to make sure that I played at least 10 factions in the 2022 season.
I was about to say, Brad, that's so 2022. Who played top?
Hold on, I'm so putting up the 2000 late again.
Even though I'm taking them to a but a major this upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is that 10 is the number to beat Brad. I've got to get like at least 15 this year to be able to.
Oh, dude, I brought so many factions last year because I kept just bringing random shit to tournaments. It was fantastic.
How many factions did you play? Let's pull up your ITC rankings and look at that.
Well, let's do that. I'm actually curious. Let's see what Brad.
You gotta I played Harlequins. I played Craft World. I played Custodes. I played Demons. I played Orcs. played Marines. Played Tau. What the fuck else did I play? Those are all the GTs.
Let's see what Brad remembers playing. So he played Tau. His best placing was with Tau all season. He played Eldar.
I won Eldari for the season, apparently, by the way.
Eldar. He played Tau for a second GT, so he played for 2 GTs.
When did I play Tau again?
Oh, that might have been RTT.
And let's be honest, I always have like a couple sisters games in there because I just never choose my faction unless somebody changes it for me.
What's the least registered on ITC is he's got Tau, Eldar, Harlequins, Tyranids, Chaos Demons.
All the team tournament stuff isn't on there. I played Custodes at team tournament. I played Tyranids. You forgot the Tyranids.
I said Tyranids.
I said Tyranids.
Yeah.
Okay, Brad, I'm going to throw down the gauntlet. You ready?
Hit me.
End of this year, whoever has played the most armies in the competitive season buys the other person a drink at LVO.
No, we're not doing that.
Nope. Chooses the faction the player places in LVO.
Deal. If the winner picks the loser's faction. Deal.
No, we're not doing that.
Welcome to Croup Mercenaries.
I saw Mr. Vali run that event this weekend, and he actually did fairly well.
I know. He sent me a picture
What's
of
up, Maddie Tarantine? What's up, baby boy? Glad to see you made it to us. Hey, guys, before we end the stream in the next 5 minutes, can we please get some likes and subscribes if possible?
Yes,
Helps
please.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
Do we have any questions in the Metacrew discussion that we need to hit before we go? Also?
I can look. Let me pull it up real quick.
So we've got the damage.
Nope, I don't see nothing. So real quick though, while we're doing this, we got a couple minutes to do some plugs. So we have some new content coming out. Fluffy DOG, which is our fluffy content coming out. That gets released this week, Brad.
Yes.
And then we have Flavor Fluff about to be recorded. That's gonna be pretty fun. And then for our Patreon guys, we did have the first Space Marine and Tau of Arcs of Omens masterclasses done. I believe Tau should be up already and the Space Marine is being edited. And then we have a lot of advanced ones coming out that's for, faction specifics. Looking forward to that. It's going to be super fun. And, yeah, that's all I can think of.
And his name was Brandon Valley. Are we doing like a... Is this like Fight Club? After he played Crew, he gets his name now?
Yeah.
They are fluffy. Oh, so fluffy. Well, let's hit up anybody on the wall then. Anybody's got any question, I will take the first question that comes in and we will roll with it. Asked about the fight. I knew there was questions up there. It's just hard for me to find stuff because I'm old and feeble. Viability of speed freaks in Arc since the buggy nerf was walked back a couple. Yeah, that's true. I like the speed freaks. Is the speed freaks army still available, or was that one of the ones that was killed?
It was killed.
Yeah, it was killed on the first, right?
Yeah.
So if it was still there, they had some great strats, by the way. The fact that you could literally just hit, deal a million mortals, then fight and leave is huge. Favorite color? I can't see very many colors, so I'm just going to say red. Red gore. Red gore. Sisters are in a fantastic spot, even though they're T3. It really depends on how the Imperial Guard dominance is or not, because they're going to have a bad match against Guard, but they play really well on everybody else. Evil Sons and stuff? I still just think that bringing more bros on the table for orcs is going to do better for you, to be perfectly honest. Especially with the Armor and Contempt just being gone. Just having... Orcs can just get board control. It's actually very, very hard to play against orcs sometimes. They can get up really high in points, even if they just get wiped off the board.
It's also really cheeky to deep strike. I'm having a brain fart. The transport that's a psyker that also has a billion shots.
No, they've got a bunch of those. You've got several options for fucking orcs that can do different things. Yeah, It's just you can get like shenanigans on there. You can come out of reserves. You can, commando spams. They just roll a lot of dice. So I would rather have more bodies in the orc army, because I think that like beast snagger boys are just disgusting, especially against vehicles, monsters, and stuff, because the +1. Whew. Angron is probably auto intake just because he's the rule of cool, Kyle. He just looks amazing.
I don't think he is an auto include because World Leaders don't have the stratagem to give an extra warlord trait.
Yeah.
And he has to be a warlord.
Yeah, but
So
he's Angron and he looks cool.
Yeah, I think.
But Lord Invictus also looks
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I mean,
He's the auto include.
yeah, also true. But
You know what looks really good, Brad?
hit me,
Ooh.
8-bound when they're 22 inches up the table on turn 1.
dude. 8-bound are nuts, and they look sweet.
Huh?
That army,
apparently.
the World Eaters army, looks fucking awesome looking. Like
It does.
those models. I mean, there's a reason to play that army. I think it's going to be competitive, but the reason to play that army is when people walk by, they're going to be like, "Damn, that looks awesome."
So, well, Brad, you see that DLG's taken 7 teams to ATC this year.
Nice.
Well, I don't think we overcram any Airbnbs. We're gonna need probably 3 of them this year because we can fit about 10 people in each one.
I'm planning on staying at Eloise's house when I go to Cherokee, because I think that she lives by there. Brandon and Eloise are going to put me up somehow. I don't know if that's a real thing. Geography might not be my strong suit. I think that they may or may not live near this tournament. So,
Alrighty though.
uh,
Well, it is 8:00, everyone. It was a blast to have you guys. Thanks for having us come back after a 1-week hiatus. And I don't know about Brad or Steven, but I'm looking forward to next week.
I'm very much looking forward to
I'm
it.
in it to win it, baby.
Alrighty.
Oh, hold on. We have to
Okay.
do a prediction, because this is the beginning of the season. I just like to let everybody know that when we accept the award for best team for Death and Glory this year, that I appreciate everybody's support.
Ooh,
And
I
on
like that.
And on that one, good night, everyone.
Good night.